help stuff.
Oh yeah, it really has gone viral. And it always seems to have Friedrich Nietzsche's name attached.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you this image of, some super stoic thinker winning battles with just a look.
Exactly. But here's the kicker, the twist right at the start for you listening. Nietzsche, he never actually said that.
Nope.
Not one word of that specific phrase. It's not in his books, not in his notes. It's basically an internet myth.
It really is. It's what you'd call apocryphal.
Mm-hmm.
Catchy, sure, but it kind of latches onto his deeper ideas like a parasite and simplifies them way down, twists them, really.
Which is precisely why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to get past that myth. We're going to explore what Nietzsche actually thought about silence, about nonverbal power.
And then we'll pivot, look at it through Carl Jung's lens. For him, silence isn't just a tactic. It's like a mirror to your soul, showing these hidden unconscious things going on.
Yeah, and finally, we'll tie all that wisdom, from philosophy and psychology into what modern science tells us. We want to give you some real practical tools for understanding and maybe even using nonverbal communication yourself.
Right. The goal here is basically a shortcut for you. Get you up to speed on this whole fascinating topic, give you some surprising facts, but also some solid insights for, self-mastery and just navigating everyday interactions.
Okay, sounds like a plan. If you're ready to unpack all this, let's dive in. So, this phrase, outsmarting without words, it's everywhere. If Nietzsche didn't say it, why does it feel like something he'd say? What was he really getting at with unspoken power?
That's a great question. To get close to where that idea might have sort of sprung from, you have to understand Nietzsche's big concept, the will to power. Der Wille zur Macht.
Right, the will to power. Often sounds a bit aggressive,
Yeah.
like dominating people.
Yeah. That's the common misunderstanding.
Yeah.
But for Nietzsche, it wasn't really about crude domination over others. It was more fundamental, a drive inside everything alive for growth, expansion, affirming yourself, and this is key, overcoming yourself.
Overcoming yourself.
Yeah, think of a plant pushing through concrete to reach the sun, that kind of relentless inner force. For humans, the highest expression of that will to power is self-mastery, controlling yourself, not others.
Okay, that's totally different from the viral quote. Self-mastery, not outsmarting others. So where does silence fit into mastering yourself? Is it internal quiet or something you show?
For Nietzsche, silence is definitely a sign of strength. Think about the opposite. Constant talking, always explaining, justifying, arguing. He saw that as weakness, insecurity, depending too much on what others think. The strong person, his idea of the Übermensch, the overman, they don't need to talk all the time to get approval. Their actions, their presence, that speaks for itself. And their silence. That can actually be way more powerful than any speech they could give.
That makes sense. Radiating strength instead of shouting about it. But, couldn't that come across as just arrogant, like you're looking down on people? How do you tell the difference between that genuine Nietzschean?
Pathos of distance.
Yeah, pathos of distance.
Yeah.
How do you tell that apart from just being dismissive?
Good point.
Yeah.
He did talk about the pathos of distance. It's like an internal feeling of, superiority isn't quite the right word,
Not
maybe
distinction.
distinction, felt by the aristocratic spirit, as he put it, compared to the masses. But it wasn't about being snobby. It was an inner conviction that just doesn't need constant outside proof.
Okay.
And that inner state shows up non-verbally. In your posture relaxed, taking up space, your gaze calm, steady, how you move unhurried. He was actually really into physiognomy, the idea you can sort of read someone's inner character from their outer appearance, like the silent statement of self-possession.
So when Nietzsche talks about power, or maybe even outsmarting in his own way, it's not about tricks or deception.
Not at all. It's much bigger. It's about reaching a level of inner strength, spiritual stature, where other people's little games and manipulations they just can't touch you.
Like you're immune.
Kind of. Your self-sufficiency creates this aura, maybe, that disarms people without you saying anything. You're just operating on a different level, not playing their game, building an inner fortress, you could say.
Okay. So the key takeaway from Nietzsche is real power is self-mastery. Silence is a tool for that. And showing strength non-verbally is something you cultivate through working on yourself. That's a really strong foundation. Now, Nietzsche's looking down from the mountaintop, talking about will and power. But then you have someone like Carl Jung, his contemporary, inviting us down into the basement of our minds.
Yeah, the cellars of our consciousness. That's a good way to put it. For Jung, those silent moments between people are, they're complex, governed by these invisible forces deep in our psyche.
It's a totally different angle on unspoken power, isn't it?
Completely. And Jung gives us two really crucial ideas here. The persona and the shadow.
Persona. Okay, that's the mask, right? The face we put on for the world. Is it fake, though? Or just necessary?
More necessary, I'd say. It's the image we project, our clothes, manners, job title, that polite smile to fit in, be accepted, function in society. You need a persona.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch. The flip side is the shadow. There's everything we push down, repress because we think it's bad or weak or just not acceptable. Envy, anger, greed, maybe irrational fears. All that stuff lives in the shadow.
And the shadow doesn't just stay inside, does it? It leaks out into how we interact with people.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when things get tense or there's conflict. Jung said we often don't even see the other person clearly. What we see is a projection of our own shadow onto them.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like maybe someone's confidence really, really bugs you. It might not actually be about them being arrogant. It could be tapping into your own ambition that you've suppressed,
Yeah.
Or if you find yourself constantly annoyed by a colleague you think is incompetent, maybe that's touching on your own hidden fear of not being good enough. It's this silent, unconscious dance happening all the time.
Wow. Okay, so how does this Jungian view change the idea of outsmarting someone silently? It sounds like it flips it inwards. It's less about them, more about us.
Exactly. Jung would say, before you even think about outsmarting someone, look inside, look at
Yeah.
your own shadow. Why is this person pushing your buttons so much? What is it about their silence, their look, their posture that triggers such a big reaction in you?
Right.
And here's the powerful part. Realizing that maybe 90% of your reaction is actually about your own stuff,
Yeah.
that gives you incredible freedom. You stop being jerked around by your unconscious impulses like a puppet.
So for Jung, powerful silence isn't about bottling up anger or anything like that.
No, not repressed aggression. It's more like conscious observation. But observation that comes from understanding yourself first. You look at someone and you see their persona, sure, but you also get a sense of their shadow, their hidden fears or motives, not because you're trying to manipulate them, but because you face those things in yourself.
That self-knowledge brings a kind of calm.
An unshakable calm,
Yeah.
ideally. You see the game being played both externally and internally.
That feels very different from Nietzsche's kind of outward, almost aristocratic strength.
It is different. Jungian outsmarting, if you want to call it that, is about becoming whole inside by integrating those shadow parts of yourself, owning them.
And that makes you less reactive.
Much less reactive, less easily provoked. Your calmness, your refusal to get drawn into their psychological drama that becomes your strength. People sense that inner integrity. Sometimes they back off. Sometimes they start to respect you more. So yeah, where Nietzsche talks about climbing up to the Übermensch, Jung suggests going down, deep inside yourself. And that's where you find a strength that doesn't need words.
Okay, so we've got these powerful ideas from philosophy, from deep psychology. But what about modern science? What do psychologists, sociologists, even neurobiologists say about all this? Do their findings line up with Nietzsche and Jung?
It's actually quite striking how much they do overlap. Decades of research into nonverbal communication consistently show that words are only a small part of the picture.
How small?
Estimates vary, but often it's put somewhere between, say, 7% and maybe 30% of the actual information conveyed. The vast majority comes from tone of voice, speed of talking, pauses, your posture, gestures, eye contact, that nonverbal stuff. That's where the real meaning often lies, even if we don't consciously realize it.
So our bodies are basically broadcasting signals constantly, even when we're quiet. What are some of the scientifically observed signs of, say, high social status that are communicated silently?
Researchers have identified several key markers. First one, relaxed posture and minimal fidgeting. People seen as higher status tend to take up a bit more space physically. Their movements are smoother, more confident. They're not, constantly shifting or fiddling.
That sounds a lot like Nietzsche's pathos of distance manifesting physically.
Exactly. It's that sense of being at ease, not needing to prove anything. Second, steady eye contact. Being able to hold someone's gaze calmly without looking away nervously signals confidence. It's different from aggressive staring, though it's more about presence.
Okay, posture, eye contact. What else?
Third, the power of the pause. This is a big one. Someone feeling insecure might rush to fill any silence, right? But confident people often use pauses deliberately. Pausing before you answer an important question makes people listen more closely. It adds weight to what you finally say.
Yeah, I've seen that work. Someone takes that slow breath, pauses, and suddenly everyone's leaning in. It totally shifts the energy.
It really does. It commands attention. And one more, asymmetry in communication. Studies notice that higher status individuals might be more likely to initiate touch, like a brief hand on the shoulder, than lower status individuals are to initiate touch with them. There's also often more freedom felt regarding personal space.
Interesting. So, given all that, how does science look at using silence strategically? Like the outsmarting aspect, but from a research perspective. What are the tactics?
Well, science talks about strategic silence in practical terms. For example, in a negotiation or even an argument, using silence can make the other person uncomfortable. Most people really dislike silence in conversation, so they'll often start talking just to fill the gap. And when they do that under pressure, they might reveal too much or make concessions they wouldn't otherwise.
Using their discomfort against them, basically.
In a way, yes. Or silence can be used to show emotional control. If someone tries to provoke you, responding with calm, deliberate silence instead of snapping back shows you're immune to their attempts at manipulation. It can completely disarm an aggressor.
Takes the wind out of their sail.
Precisely. And another way, to guide someone to figure things out themselves.
Right.
Instead of telling someone they're wrong, you might ask a pointed question and just wait, silently. That silence prompts them to actually think, to reflect, and maybe see the flaws in their own argument without you having to spell it out.
That reminds me a bit of historical examples like Mahatma Gandhi, his silent protests.
That's a perfect example on a massive scale.
Mm-hmm.
Gandhi's silence, his hunger strikes, those were incredibly powerful political statements, far more impactful than angry speeches could have been. His silence conveyed this unwavering resolve, this moral high ground that ultimately the British Empire couldn't argue against. It absolutely spoke volumes.
So, modern science really backs this up. Understanding nonverbal cues, using silence strategically, these are actual tools you can learn and use to navigate situations with more control, more influence. Okay, so we started with this viral quote about Nietzsche that wasn't actually his, and we've journeyed through his real ideas, Jung's deep dives into the psyche, and landed on modern science backing up the power of silence. It's a lot. How do you actually take all this and use it? How do you listening harness this silent power in everyday life?
Yeah, it's about bringing it all together, isn't it? Synthesizing these perspectives gives you a kind of roadmap.
Okay, let's break it down. The Nietzschean way.
Right. From Nietzsche, the focus is on cultivating that self-mastery. Really work on your inner strength so other people's opinions or external chaos doesn't rock your boat so much. Practice that pathos of distance, not arrogance, but inner calm and self-possession. Stop feeling the need to constantly explain or justify yourself. Remember his view. For the strong, silence is golden. Let your actions, your presence do the talking.
Makes sense. Then the Jungian layer.
Jung pulls you inward. It's about understanding your shadow. Before you react strongly to someone, pause. Ask yourself, what button are they pushing in me? What projection might be happening here? That self-awareness is like building up immunity to manipulation and emotional triggers. Your silence then stops being about suppressed anger and becomes a sign of genuine wisdom, of being whole.
Less reactive, more reflective.
Exactly. And finally, the scientific angle gives you the practical tools.
Which are?
Consciously manage your body language. Pay attention to your posture stand or sit with relaxed confidence. Control nervous gestures. And don't fear the pause. Use silence strategically, maybe to gather your thoughts, maybe to let the other person feel the weight of the moment, or just to show you're calm and in control.
So it's like having a toolkit inner work from Nietzsche and Jung and outer techniques from science?
Precisely. And maybe the ultimate trick, the final takeaway here, isn't really about winning against someone else at all.
What is it then?
It's about reaching a level of personal development where those kinds of petty battles, those little power struggles, they just don't seem that interesting or important anymore.
You just opt out.
You opt out. You conserve your energy for things that truly matter to you, for your own growth, your real goals. This kind of deep, silent knowledge about yourself, about these dynamics, it really can lift you above the fray without needing to say a single word.
That's a powerful thought to end on. We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, maybe some new ways to think about silence and navigate your own world with a bit more wisdom, a bit more inner strength. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.